so frustrating.
It's really a shame that bad things happen to good people, but they do. It's all too common that the triumphs in life are overshadowed by losses of innocence, of freedom, of drive, of purpose. Who survives intact without a backwards glance? While we move steadily forward in surface talks that reveal nothing, painful truths must be faced, or else all that is good, all that is fine, all that is yours, all that is mine, slowly fades away. It fades into the abyss of unspoken words, silence for that which we lost. When those bad things happen to good people.
I know what you're doing. I know you're asking yourself already. Did we puncture the tire? Or did that just really happen? Promise you, we're gonna answer that. We'll answer that when we finish this video, okay? We will give you the answer to many of your questions. But right now, we're not going to tell you. You just gotta make it to the end. If you've come from the other video, welcome. Our hopes over the next few moments are to genuinely answer several questions for you and to give you hope. If you're from Unlocked Church, welcome. Hopefully you've been in our digital small groups this week. If you're jumping over because you love One Wheels and you are intrigued by the question, welcome. Man, make it through the end. Maybe we'll share something that will restore the hope in mankind and in the world and for yourself. Or maybe we'll just give you something to think about, and that's the hopes. Maybe you've heard this term that life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react. That means life is filled of ups and downs, and it truly is going to come down to how you respond or react to the given situation. And in this week, we've had plenty of opportunities to either respond or react. That's from the stock market, that's from the concerns of the virus, that's being quarantined with people that you don't want to be quarantined with, and the list can go on, right? These are just the top 3 this week. And funny, a week and a half ago, those were probably not on any one of our radars, to be honest with you. But life is 10% what happens to us. Those 3 things happened to us this week. 90% of our life then is made up of our attitude inside that. Like maybe you're a parent. I'm a parent of 8. And man, when my child has a defeated mindset and attitude, it's hard to break that. And it's so frustrating because then it limits them from the possibilities in their own life. There's nothing more frustrating as a parent to see the possibilities in my children, and yet they don't see it themselves. They're choosing to be bummed by it. See, I do believe that when we face adversity, oftentimes adversity, something beautiful can come out of it. Ever think about a pearl? Pearls are made in oysters from an irritation of sand. It starts out as irritating, annoying, frustrating, doesn't want it in there, and they begin to coat it with something that turns into the pearl. That is what we're talking about. This week we've been handed a grain of sand, and some of us are going to end up with a pearl at the end of this because we chose to respond in this given time and not react and blow up and pour gasoline on a fire and watch it go whoa. So, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how we respond or react. Take it or leave it. That's just life in general. Now, I want to use one of the authors from the Bible to explain some of this and to point ourselves back to the Bible, because the authors in the Bible document life of Jesus, and then Jesus talks about the Old Testament, and Jesus talks about the future, and he talks about how to love one another and love God and love ourselves. And there's so many truths out of the Bible from these authors that I want to go to it because I want us to be able to hold on to something more than just cliche words from me sitting in my office, but some truths to just kind of give us some hope. So we're going to jump into a book called Philippians, which is from the author Paul. Paul, at the time, is coming near the end of his life. We know that because we can look back in history. I don't know if Paul knew that. He was on house arrest. He probably knew he was on death row at that time. So he knew that his situation wasn't looking good. And he begins to write a book called Philippians, and he's the author of it. And he begins to talk to a group of people that he began to start. Now, I want to give you some cool facts about it. Philippians is also known as the most joyfulest, happiest book of the Bible. So if you need some joy and some pick-me-up, Philippians is a great book to open up this week and read and study. That way you can find out some of the things that might unlock your prison that you're locked in. You are experiencing house arrest in a sense, right? And why would Paul constantly sit there and go, I find great joy in this? Also, Paul writes in Philippians, he uses the word joy 16 times in it. So if you need a little bit of joy, I would suggest coming to here. And then it's one of the books of the Bible that doesn't quote the Old Testament, which is just kind of interesting. I was going to say phenomenal, but let me read what he writes on house arrest in Philippians chapter 1, verse 27. Whatever happens, conduct yourself in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Whatever happens. He sums it all up. He's like, if a virus comes, that falls in whatever. If the stock market isn't doing the best, that's whatever. If you're quarantined or social distancing yourself, that's whatever. That's whatever happens, conduct yourself in a way that you can be called a follower of Jesus. That's the way he's saying it, is that you would earn the name being a follower of Jesus. That you're not a nice person just because you're a nice person. In Minnesota, they have a phrase, it's called Minnesota nice. This is where Minnesotans are just genuinely nice people. But we don't want to lose sight of, we're not talking about being nice to be nice. We're talking about being nice people because that's what's been asked of us as a follower of Jesus. We're going to love people as Jesus loved us. That's what makes us nice. Not a cool slogan for a state, but because Jesus has first asked us to, or actually Jesus set the example of what love requires us to do. So therefore, we know what love should require us to do. So whatever happens in our life, conduct yourself in a way that would earn you the title, follower of Jesus. And then people would be able to say, no, that's a follower of Jesus. Not, oh, I didn't know you were a follower of Jesus. That's new. If you're popping over from our YouTube channel and you're like, this explains why you, Lily, and Joey, and Kristen, and everybody on the channel always smiling. We are constantly trying to bring hope to a world that seems hopeless, and especially in light of the current events. We hold on to the truths of Jesus and not the daily news. Now, it's been hard this week. I'm not going to lie. I've tried to explain it to people. I've got 2 cups or 2 buckets. One's I constantly am filling full with fear, and as that gets heavier, it outweighs my hope bucket, and then I have to remind myself I don't want to think about fear. I want to take the 10% happening to me, and 90% I want to dump into hope. Okay, it's going to be short. It's not going to be long-lived. The best is yet to come, and think about, oh man, Jesus still loves me, that God's in control, though He's got the whole world in His hands. Those are the things I try to focus on. And Paul's trying to tell us, he's telling us no matter what unexpected disruptions, frustrations, or difficulty comes our way, we are to respond like Jesus. We are to have the attitude like Jesus. Can you say this week that your attitude has been like Jesus? Now, I'm not telling you it's not okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be worried. It's just not okay to respond out of those things, and it's not okay to live there, stay there. That will crush you. That will devour you. Now remember this, to all of us that are writing posts on social media and we're talking to people, that most things are caught and not taught. So if we're having a bad attitude, that's caught. We're going to teach our kids how to handle adversity through this week. Now, I know you're sitting there going, okay, Scott, you talked about you're going to answer the question, why do bad things happen to good people? Here's why. It's because there is a thing in the world called sin. Meaning, there are sometimes I lie when I know I shouldn't tell the truth. You know what lying does? It separates. It breaks relationship. Why are we teaching in our household our kids don't lie? It isn't because we don't want them to lie to us. It's because it breaks relationships. And sin is when relationships are broken. We also explain sin as missing the mark. Perfection is the goal. The bullseye is perfection. And I'm constantly missing that. And when I miss it, I hurt people. And there are a lot of people in this world that aren't trying to live the way Jesus was asked them to do. And when they live for themselves solely, what do? They hurt other people. There's collateral damage to sin. It gets past the individual. And that's why good people get hurt and bad things happen to good people, is because there are people in the world, and I don't get it right all the time. I say harsh things to my wife sometimes that I shouldn't say. I'm quick to an opinion and it hurts somebody and I have to come back and apologize, and that person I might have had that opinion to might have been a good person. In them being a good, I hurt them unintentionally. I didn't mean to hurt them. It just happened. So why do bad things happen to good people? Because we aren't perfect people. And when we miss the mark, there is collateral damage. And this week you might be experiencing collateral damage in your own life, that you're hurt. You've lost your job this week. Someone you know is sick. Maybe yourself, you are sick and your hope is diminishing. Will you please return to Jesus and put your hope in Jesus? Paul writes, Philippians chapter 2, verse 14, do all things without grumbling or questioning, that you may be blameless, innocent children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the darkness. I mean, he said what I just said about why do bad things happen to good. That's the response right there. Is because we live in a crooked and twisted world, and there are people looking to hurt other people. I'm sorry if you're hurt this week. My heart goes out to you. If I could reach through the lens, I would. Now we're going to ask Joey to do something with us really quick. And so we're going to use a GoPro camera here, and we're going to toss this camera to Joey. And Joey's going to read the Way You Think poem. We have a poem that he's going to read. It's sitting here in my notes, and Joey's going to read it. We're going to toss this his way. He's going to catch it, give it to you, and he's going to toss it back to me, okay? So say hello to Joey really quick.
Thanks, God. Hey, what an athletic move right there. You just threw it all the way across Maple Grove, man. Hey, speaking of athletics, hey, you have to have a strong mindset. Growing up playing college football or high school football and then to college football, I always had to have a strong mindset. If I wouldn't have had a strong mindset, it would have been very difficult to keep on playing. And so I'm going to read you a poem that really resonates with me. I hope it resonates with you. It's called The Way You Think. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win, but you think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. For out in the world you'll find success begins with a person's will. It's all in the state of mind. Think big and your deeds will grow. Think small and you will fall behind. Think that you can and you will. It's all in your state of mind. Personally, as an athlete growing up, I had a strong mindset. My thoughts were positive about myself. I thought every time I stepped onto that court or that field, I was like, I'm going to beat that person next to me. I'm going to beat that team, or we're going to beat that team, and I'm going to use the gifts that God gave me and use them to my ability. And I believed in myself during those times. And then after sports ended, I was kind of lost. I didn't believe in myself like I used to. And Scott asked me to be the youth director at Unlock Church, and I was like, what? Like, I get nervous just speaking in front of people, man. But he believed in me. And something switched in me, and I was like, wow, I need to start believing in myself again. And have that mindset as I did it as I was an athlete. And here I am today, in front of you, speaking. So, it's about the mindset, guys. I'm going to continue reading some of the poem. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you ever can win a prize. Life's battle doesn't always go to the stronger or faster one, but sooner or later, the one who wins is the person who thinks they can. All right. Hey, I just want you guys to be encouraged. You know, going through this season of life and everything that's going on, we need to have a positive mindset. We got to believe that we can get through this together. Hey, I'm going to send this back to Scott. Here you go, Scott.
Nice throw, Joey. You know what? When we talk about mindset, when I'm hearing Joey read what he's reading, here's the truth. Passion trumps logic any day of the week. When we are passionate about something, that will constantly trump knowledge. Passion. When I hear Joey talking about the mindset of an individual, I always think about the saying that I tell myself, that passion has a funny way of trumping logic. Ever watch a football game, basketball game, golfing match where the top dog's supposed to win and they don't, the underdog wins, or March Madness that got canceled, right? We watch all March Madness for the underdog college to beat the number one. You see it all the time because passion has a funny way of trumping logic. And inside this week, inside your life, that 90% that's your response, you've got to be passionate about pursuing Jesus. You've got to be passionate about putting others first. You've got to be passionate about loving one another. It's the passion that trumps the logic. Sometimes that's the winning formula over just the logistics. I love what the psalmist writes in Psalms 37:24. The Lord makes firm the steps of the ones who delight in him, who take pleasure in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for those that find he will not fall, or she will not fall, for those that find pleasure in the Lord, delight themselves, hanging out with God. That's the nudge this week. Get in with God. Spend more time with God this week than you do the news, because that's filling the fear bucket. Going and reading the Psalms or reading Philippians, from the joyous chapters of Philippians, those are going to fill the right bucket. Therefore, you're going to find pleasure in God and doing the things God is asking you to do. And that could be simply just dropping off some toilet paper to some people, as that's worth more than any money at this point. We got one last person we're going to throw it to that's going to help illustrate this point with another poem. It's so good. Lily put together a video, and as we're all quarantined, we're throwing the GoPro across Maple Grove here for her to illustrate the mindset, the attitude. And so, once again, we're going to grab the GoPro and we're going to toss it to Lily.
Wow, awesome throw, Scott. It is so good to see you all. It is Lily, and if you're watching from Unlocked Church, I am missing you. If you're a kid, I am missing you so much. I can't wait to see you all soon. Thanks for joining in today. Right now, we are about to go into a story of a woman who had an amazing attitude despite her circumstances. I hope this inspires you today to maybe change your perspective on the way you think about your current day circumstances. Enjoy. On the first day the woman woke up, she realized she only had 3 strands of hair on her head. So she decided, I'm gonna braid my hair today. With that, she went on and had a fantastic day. On the second day, the woman woke up with only 2 strands of hair on her head. So she decided, I'm gonna part my hair down the middle. And so the woman went about her day, and she had a really, really great day. On the third day, the woman woke up with only 1 hair on her head. So she decided, I'm gonna put my hair in a ponytail today. And so once again, the woman went on about her day and had a fun-filled day with her family. On the final day of our story, the woman woke up to no hair at all on her head, and she smiled and said, well, I don't have to do my hair today.
You see in the video where Lily is just illustrating the mindset of a woman that's losing her hair, and her attitude changed everything, changed the circumstances. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know where I find you. I do know that circumstances through the news is not very good. And so we've got to choose to have the attitude of Jesus. We've got to choose to fill our hope bucket, not our fear bucket, and choose to do life with people. And that might mean through digital means and being creative with this. And so I'm going to pray for all of you. I hope today I brought to you some hope. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope we've answered some of your questions. I know we still have one more to answer. Did we knife it? or did someone else? We were going to tell you right after I pray. Jesus, I pray for everybody on the other side of this lens, that you would meet them right where they are. If they are terrified, that they would feel the release of fear. If they are worried of the unknown of the future, that their worries would be replaced with hope. That Jesus, you, for those that delight, take pleasure in you, we might stumble, but we will not fall. May that give us encouragement. Yeah, may we find truth in that. May those be the things that turn us around. Jesus, may we have a filter of what does love require us to do in these times. Jesus, we love you. Thanks for being my hope. And may I constantly, along with everyone else watching this, fix our eyes on you. Jesus, we love you in your name. Amen. Honestly, I hope it makes sense to all of you. Thank you for watching. It would be so awesome if you would give us thumbs up and subscribe to both channels. You might have to go back to the other video and share that video, because that video hopefully will grab people's attention, and then we can have a great conversation in here. And I made mention in this video earlier, we have digital missions at Unlock Church. Everyone across the world is invited to be a part of it. Go to unlockchurch.com to sign up, get the links, jump in. We're going to do live worship on our Instagram account, which is just Unlock Church. And it was a lot of fun this week. We are connecting with you as many times as we can. We have digital small groups for kids, for students, for adults. Stay connected. Know that you are loved. And we want the best for you. Okay? We are here for you. If you need anything, let us know. And your last question is, did we knife our own one wheel? The answer is yes. Here's the knife we used. It is my knife. I used my left hand for it. There you have it. It was just to illustrate a point today. Now I have to patch the hole. Be a great video for One Wheel Wednesday, I guess. All right, guys. Have a great Sunday.